everybody, and welcome to Books Unbound, the podcast where we unbind books to get to their hearts with your hosts, us. It's Ariel and
Raylene.
Today, I would like to begin by thanking Raylene for her patience because I had a series of delays today, and she kept not saying anything. She kept acting chill, and I really appreciated
Which is pretty
it.
cool.
So
I'm often not patient, but I am for you. I am today.
You are today. Yeah, we had a car breakdown thing. A car battery died on my brother's car, and then it was just a whole thing. So then I had to drive in and out of Halifax, which I did not expect to do today, and that took the whole day. And then I came home and I shoveled down dinner. But I had yesterday decided I wanted to try doing a new filming angle and setup and everything. I don't know why I didn't just. I should have just bailed on it and been like, okay, cool. Because of how crazy this day has gone, let's try that tomorrow. No, I wanted to still do it today.
You committed to it.
And then my microphone wasn't working for literally no reason. So anyways, thank you, Raylene, for your patience. I'm excited to chill.
Yeah, I was out in the hot sun about half an hour ago for maybe 10 minutes, and I felt like I was going to die. So I'm very chill right now because I'm just like, wow, it's hot outside. Let's
talk about that, though.
Calm down. It's so hot.
It's May 15th. So it's not even the end of May. It's mid of May, and it's 33 degrees
yeah, we've got
Celsius.
A heat wave type of situation going on. So hopefully we don't get back up into the 40s in the height of summer, because I don't like that.
No.
You had to go through that with me last year, and it was not fun, as you well know.
That was one of the... I feel like I've never felt hotter in my whole life.
I have to agree with you. We were so lucky there was a swimming pool nearby.
It wasn't the fact that it was so hot. It was just, I think, the fact that it was all we could talk about, how hot it was, and we were sweaty, and obviously it was just... It is what it is. We all live in crazy situations, but because of that apartment didn't have air conditioning, so you only had air conditioning in your bedroom. So we would just sit in your bedroom for a while,
and it was still hot, even with the AC. It couldn't keep up.
Crazy.
Yeah, luckily right now it's okay inside. That same air conditioner is kind of cooling the whole house down, which is
cool.
It's doing a good job, but it's scary hot outside. Yeah, it's not so good.
Shoot. Well,
anyway,
I am sending you cool vibes, cool ocean. I'm sending you a cool ocean breeze from my coast.
I appreciate that. The fact that you're wearing a long sleeve shirt right now is freaking me out because of how hot I am.
I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, full long pants, and socks.
I'm doing the opposite of what you are right now. My arms are free, my legs are free, my feet are free.
It's funny too because we were so excited yesterday. It hit 20 degrees and we were like, what a warm, perfect spring day.
That's what I want.
And now it's back down to 15 or something, which is very springy. You skipped spring.
I don't know what spring is.
Catapulted over that whole affair.
It's disgusting.
Okay, yeah. So this new angle that I'm filming at, it shouldn't affect the audio. I don't know why it would affect the audio in any way.
Yeah.
So for our audio listeners, you shouldn't notice any difference. But if you're on the video version, which we upload the video version to Spotify and to YouTube, and I had somebody ask me once, they were like, this was early on, in January when we started doing the video episodes, they were like, does it financially make a difference to you guys where we watch the episode if we want to watch the video version? And the honest answer is if you care about that and you are feeling very neutral about where you watch it, you should watch it on YouTube.
Yeah,
because YouTube gives us AdSense, so we get a penny or 2 pennies per view. But listen, we put it on Spotify because the most important thing to us is just that you have options, that you're able to watch it or listen to it in the best way. So that is watching the YouTube version and giving us that penny or two. It does accumulate over time, but it is not the best way to support us. The best way to support us is to share or go on Patreon or buy a piece of merch. I don't know how I got on plugging all of our stuff, but I don't regret it. But yeah, I just wanted to say that for the video people, I decided to try and film in this little corner of my bedroom I think I was feeling bored of recording at my desk.
Yeah.
Which I guess we've done. I've recorded like every episode of the podcast, except for the ones where I'm like abroad on some crazy mission. But I've filmed like for the last 2 years at my desk.
That's true.
So I was like, I'm gonna shake things up and move right in front of my bookshelves.
That's funny because I've recorded in so many different weird places. Like I used to sit on my bed to record, and that, like in various different ways until eventually it turned into something else, and now here I am.
Yeah, that's so true. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
The other reason is, this is boring, but here we go. The other reason is because when we started making the video episodes, Ray.
Yeah.
I made graphics for everything, like what the background for the videos would be and everything. And I just automatically put my name on the left and your name on the right. Mm-hmm. And I think because it's alphabetical, like Ariel and Raylene. But it turns out that you and I film
the opposite ways.
Ourselves sideways.
Yeah.
And my brother pointed this out right away. He was like, you guys are backwards. I was like, oh, it'll probably be fine. And then it wasn't fine. So he's been flipping us.
I know. I'm a mirror of myself, and it freaks me out every time I see it.
It's creepy, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try and film the way that he wants me to film. And we're going to attempt this, and we'll see if it works.
Okay, I like that. I like that we're moving forward from what we were doing.
We're trying to progress. We're trying to grow. We're trying to grow as podcasters.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk books. You start us off, Raylene. Have you read anything?
I have.
Are you reading anything? What's happening?
Before I tell you what I'm reading, though, I want to tell you what I did on the weekend, because I did something bookish. I reorganized my TBR shelves.
Oh my god!
Which are still seven of the shelves out of my, 30 or whatever they are, however many there are on 3 Billy bookcases. It's a lot. It's a lot of books, but I just decided it's time to shake things up a little bit. But I didn't want to reorganize my entire bookcases, so the bottom whatever of my bookshelves are still in rainbow of all the books that I've read that I own.
Yeah.
But then I decided I wanted to switch things up. So this is such a weird way to organize books, but I've done it this way. So I have organized my TBR shelves now by category, which can mean whatever it means. But to me, like, I've got a coming of age section, I've got a cat book section, I've got a fantasy section, so stuff like that. But then within those sections, they're organized by how excited I am to read them. So the most exciting books are all the way on the left and start the category, and then it kind of goes down from there until a new category starts. So I did that, and it got me so excited about some books. So,
oh my God.
So what ended up happening is that I've basically changed my mashed potato made TBR a little bit. I'm still reading mashed potato books, but they're not the books that I originally said I was going to, because,
oh my gosh.
I mean, I'll tell you about what I'm reading later, but I got so excited when I was organizing my memoir section. Like, I couldn't decide which book to put in which area, because I was so excited about all of them. So I'm reading a memoir now, which I'll get to later. But so that was the fun thing I did. And so firstly, really I finished American Gods, but I'm going to start with something more exciting. So I'm going to tell you about this other book that I read. I read a whole other book, very short book, but anyway, I read the Anne of Green Gables graphic novel, baby, which is by Mariah Marsden and, of course, Brenna Thumler. Formerly a children's librarian, Mariah Marsden loves stories about fairies and girlhood. This graphic novel was her debut, published in 2017, and she has since published a graphic novel adaptation of The Secret Garden, illustrated by Hannah Luchtefeld. Brenna Thumler is the incredibly talented illustrator and author of the Sheet series, and has now added playwright to her list of accomplishments. Her play, Single Bookstore, was part of the One Act Festival and is currently still available to stream for the month of May. I just couldn't resist this one, because when I was reorganizing my shelves, this was the only graphic novel on my TBR shelf. And so for one thing, I didn't know where to put it. And then I was like, you know what? This is a perfect, like, hot summer day kind of read. Like, it's just so happy and fun and light. And it was glorious. So I read it in one sitting. I just sat down and read it, and I laughed. I didn't quite cry, but it made me emotional. And it was just such a joy to read, and to actually finally, like, see all of the art that Brenna did, because I've seen some pages here and there from what you've shown me or from what she's shared on her Instagram. But reading the whole thing start to finish was just such a joy and a beautiful experience. And I'm so excited to read this over and over and over again, because it was just so lovely. So
I totally agree.
Absolutely, like, a new favorite graphic novel. Like, it's up there. It's so good.
I totally agree with you. I also, you're going to have to buy your own copy. No, wait, you were given this copy.
So I was given this copy, but it's a gross library copy. So I'll be on the hunt. If I see it in a bookstore, I'll definitely snap it up. Because I also don't own any of the Sheets books, which is kind of a travesty.
What?
I need to, I know. So I'm going to have to just buy all of Brenna's books at some point here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so I finished that, and that was really lovely because I had just finished American Gods. While I was reorganizing my bookshelf, I was listening to the last 2 hours of American Gods. That's kind of where this all comes into play, I guess. I was just like, I want to finish American Gods. What can I do with those 2 hours? And I decided reorganizing my bookshelves was the perfect thing, and it was. So yeah, I did finish American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman was born in England in 1960, and in the 1980s began his career in journalism. His first book was a biography of the band Duran Duran, which was published in 1984. Since then, he has written over a dozen novels and collections of short stories, written comic books for DC as well as his Sandman series, written for TV and film, and even wrote the English language script for Princess Mononoke, based on a translation of the original screenplay. So I learned a lot about Neil Gaiman in order to write up that little info blurb. So he's a super interesting guy. He's done literally so much. So I think Neil Gaiman as a person is very cool. However, I've decided I don't think I like his books very much. Ooh. In general. Like I didn't dislike American Gods, but every time I read one of his books, I just feel very mid about them.
That's very interesting.
Except for Coraline. I love Coraline. Coraline is amazing. But I find every other book of his that I've read, I'm just like, meh. Like, I'll probably forget about that in a couple of months. It didn't really impact me in a huge way. But, that's just me. Everybody else loves Neil Gaiman. So I feel like...
Have you read the Graveyard Book?
Yeah. Mid.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if that one you might like because it's another children's book.
Yeah, I've tried so many. Like, I've read Coraline. I've read that one. I've read now American Gods. I've read Trigger Warning and The Ocean at the End of the Lane. And Coraline is the only one that I, significantly enjoyed. So I think I've finally reached a point. Well, I mean, I also really loved Make Good Art, but that's a completely different type of book. So I like the way he thinks. I would read nonfiction by him, I think, for sure. I just don't think I like his stories as much, which I think is allowed. So, yeah, but I mean, I definitely...
You know what? It's not allowed.
I know people are going to be probably really upset about that, but I think I'm done with Neil Gaiman for now, unless he comes out... If he comes out with, a book about writing, I would totally read that, or a memoir or something. Yeah. He might already have something like that. I'll have to look into it, but I feel like I've just read enough of him now that I feel good letting him go. But yeah, for those who might not know, I don't know if I really talked about the book that much, so this might sound appealing to you guys. So American Gods is about this guy named Shadow Moon, who at the beginning of the book is in jail, and you don't know what he did or how he, what exactly put him in jail. But he's there, and then at the very beginning of the book, he is told that his wife has been killed in a car accident, and then he gets let out a little bit early. Just unrelated, but that all kind of happens at the very beginning of the book. So he's obviously distraught, very sad. Also, the circumstances of how she died were not good and just not a good thing for him to be reflecting on. But so that's the very beginning. But then this random dude comes up to him and is like, hey, you want to work for me? I am a god. And he's like, huh? And so he kind of puts him on this path to just dealing with all these strange people. So in this world, there's a bunch of all the Greek gods and Egyptian gods and everything all have, been living for millions of years or whatever it is. So they all exist as modern beings still, but then there's also, they're all the old gods, but then there's also new gods. So anything that has a significant amount of people worshiping it in whatever way that means will turn into a god. So for example, money has a god, media has a god, there's all these new things, computers all end up having gods associated with them, and so now they're kind of at war with each other. The old gods and the new gods are all trying to fight, and then Shadow gets mixed up in it. So that's kind of the main plot of the book. And I just didn't feel connected to this whole battle that was upcoming. It just didn't seem important to me. It didn't have a lot of tension. And it's a very long book. It was 19 hours long. So I just felt if you're not, into it, and that's a lot of book to listen to. But the audiobook was great. I have said, as I talked about the book while I was starting it, the audiobook is fantastic. Full cast, really well done. So I highly recommend it for that. And if the plot sounds interesting to you, then maybe you'll like this book. But yeah, just wasn't my favorite, unfortunately. But yeah, those are the 2 books I finished. Have you finished anything?
No.
Oh.
I haven't.
I was going to let you have a turn.
It's been a busy week in Ariel's existence in some happy ways, but I had a really fun Mother's Day. Ooh. Mother's Day was the best.
Yeah.
But it just ended up being a really busy weekend because we went in to Halifax to get my brother and then bring him back. And then we played badminton. The family played badminton, which cute. Was the best. I loved it so much. We have a really ridiculous video of us playing badminton while CJ's holding the phone and playing badminton. Yeah. And then I think I get a point. It ended up when I saw in the video that I did not get that point. Uh-oh. But I thought me and Connor had gotten a really sick point, and I just flip the badminton racket upside down and start playing air guitar really.
That's especially funny that you didn't get the point.
Yeah, and then I didn't even... You can hear my mom who she's like, I don't think that was their point.
That's hysterical. You're just like...
It was awesome. So no, I haven't finished anything. I have made progress on some things.
Okay.
I've read a bit more of Swimming Studies, and I'm actually really enjoying it.
Oh, sick.
I'm realizing I left it upstairs in my bedroom, but I'm reading Swimming Studies. The other thing was in the car ride over, back home today, because I was like, well, now this day is about driving a lot. So on the car ride to Halifax, me and my brother talked. But then on the car ride back, I was like, I should listen to an audiobook to try and make some use of this time. And so I listened to some more of Homesick for Another World by Otessa Moshfegh, which is another one of my mashed potato reads. I'm not liking it still.
Yeah, not surprising. It's pretty bad the whole way through, except that, like I've said before, I think it's the second to last story I thought was good.
You thought was
And then maybe
good.
the one before that as well was kind of okay. Like, I remember there being, 2-ish that were kind of okay. But.
So I am feeling a little stuck with that. Yeah. I'm just like, I do want to get to the end of it. I am going to get to the end of it. I only have... I think I have 2 hours left of the audiobook on normal speed. So, and I'm listening to it a little bit faster. So I definitely should be able to finish that by the end of May for Mashed Potato May.
Nice.
Good. But the other book that I'm reading, Raylene, is a surprise. Yeah. And yes, so this came out of nowhere. This came out of left field, but it's very exciting. So basically, over a month ago, maybe it was 2 months ago even now, was I recorded a podcast for Word on the Street, which is Toronto, one of Toronto's biggest book festivals. Okay. And it was so much fun. It was a really fun chat, and I just had a lot of fun talking books and books in Canada, and I talked a lot about the podcast. Nice. I felt like I mentioned the podcast too many times, but I was like, I'm just really gonna push the podcast. I just love the podcast. So I did the podcast, and it was so much fun. And afterwards, I was emailing back and forth with the coordinator there, and they ended up asking me to host one main stage talk on the weekend of the festival. Sadly, we couldn't, because it was literally in May that we've been scheduling this, we couldn't fit a Books Unbound live recording. But guys, I'm going to try again next year. I think I could get us in. Scary. But the point is, they were really, really kind, and they've asked me to host one talk at their festival.
That's cool.
So I need to read the book, because basically I'm interviewing the author for an hour on this festival stage.
Okay, I was like, I don't know anything about this festival, so...
Yes, so the festival is the weekend of the 27th. It's a free festival. So if you are in Toronto and you want to come hang out and say hi, please do. So if you want to catch the talk, it's at 3:30. And I'm like, this is all in my mind. I think it's at 3:30. I'll be linking to the events as well. But there's also going to be a little meetup They're doing like a little book influencer thingy, like come meet people. So again, it's totally free. So it's at noon on the Saturday. So I will link to that information below, and I will say very clearly, I've been paid to host the event and to promote the event. So hashtag ad. I'm just clarifying that. But I am so excited because I feel like it's been since before COVID that I've gotten to do stuff like this.
Totally.
Actually, do you remember, Raylene, one of the last things I ever did but right before COVID was I was at a poetry conference.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember that.
It's coming back to me a little.
I was in London. It was in England.
Yes, I do remember that part. I remember it was like, I can't believe that you were able to go to freaking England right before this all
I know.
happened.
It was like, my flight was on like March 7th. And we all know that the world shut down on March 14th, right? Like, I think my flight back was on March 13th. Oh my God.
It's pretty sketchy.
It's crazy. So that was, I literally did one book event right before the pandemic. And then I feel like obviously it took the book world a long time to get back into the swing of things, but I'm just really excited. So I'm reading the book, and the book is Two for the Road by Chantel Gwerton. And I had never heard of this book before, so I really don't know much about it. And I'm only 20 pages in so far. And it's a romance, which is really fun. It's like a contemporary romance, which is fun because it's just very outside of my normal reading. And so far, the main character owns a bookshop and is in love with her favorite audiobook narrator.
Oh, all right.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's a new one.
That is a new one. So I feel like I'm dipping in and out of 80 different things.
Yes.
Hence also why I haven't finished anything. Because I'm just like, oh, there's so many things that I'm reading. But Raylene, what are you currently reading?
Well, I am currently reading a couple of very exciting books. So like I mentioned earlier, when I was reorganizing my bookshelves, I got super excited about Memoirs. Like actually I've had this little goal for myself. Like I have been writing down goals on my spreadsheet where I keep track of my reading. I've been writing little things where it's like, in April, I would like to read this type of book and this type of book or something. And in April, I wanted to read a memoir. And I think I put a fantasy book and a classic, and I didn't do any of those. So I moved I moved those goals down to May. And as of right now, 2 weeks into May, I still hadn't done any of those things. And I was like, why? You know, my mashed potato May TBR didn't contain books like that, but they were books I was excited to read. I am still excited to read. I just feel like I want to actually like tackle some of my hard and fast goals. Because I also need to read 6 fantasy books throughout the year. I've only read now 2. So like all these things are starting to stack up, and I'm like, we're almost halfway through the year. I got to start moving. So I decided, you know what? I want to read something that I'm really, really excited for right now. So I decided to grab a memoir off the shelf. So I have been reading Know My Name by Chanel Miller.
Oh, that's so interesting. I feel like you've had that for eons.
Yeah, I've been dying to read this book for at least a couple of years now. And this is like a true mashed potato book because I just knew this is going to be an outstanding book. Like, this is going to be a really, really good book. If you look it up on Goodreads, it has a 4.72 average rating.
Oh my God.
Which is insanely high. I think that might be higher than like Brandon Sanderson, which is always a super, super high rating. So that by itself just goes to show like that's going to be a good book, and that's a little bit frightening. Seriously. I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to blow my socks off. So there's that, but also it's about pretty dark, not dark, but like, hard subject matter. So Chanel Miller the reason she's known is because she was the victim of a sexual assault at Stanford that happened in 2015. It was very high profile and was all over the news. And she was an anonymous victim at the very beginning of this. And so she was, seeing all this stuff being said about her, but nobody knew who she actually was, and she had no voice. And so this book is her telling the whole story in her own words and saying how it felt and what she was going through at the time and all that stuff. And it's so good. Like, it is so well written. It's every couple of pages, I'm just like, oh, wow. Like, I should be like marking quotes and things, because I usually don't want to do that. But this book is like genuinely so well written that I'm like, mwah, like I'm astounded by the writing. And I usually don't care about writing that much. I'm usually more of a plot kind of person, but obviously in a memoir, that's not a thing. But
unless it's wild.
Yeah, wild has got
a lot of plot.
That's true. But yeah, this book is just stellar. Like I already can tell I'm going to love it. Wow. It's going to be one of my favorites of the year. I'm like 70 pages in, I want to say. I've only sat down to read it a couple of times now, but I'm glad I'm reading this.
What was her major? Like, what does she do now?
She's not in college at the beginning of this. Like, she went to a party, but she was 22 when this all started. Gotcha. So she wasn't in college. So she was just working at an office. Yeah, she just like happened to go to a party with her sister. So I don't know. She hasn't really talked about what she did in college as much, but she loves writing. She loves drawing. Like, she's an artist in lots of different ways. So I'm really interested to look into her after I'm finished the book and kind of see what she's doing now, because I actually don't really know anything about her, but I'm really enjoying hearing her story, as harrowing as it is. It's like so well written. So I already highly recommend it. Like I mentioned, one of my other goals was to read a fantasy book. So
yes, oh my god, this is
bring
so
it
exciting.
on. I'm reading a fantasy book, and I'm so excited to tell you I am reading The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. It's
so big.
It's 1,000 pages. It's huge. Like, let me just see how many actual pages it is. Oh, it's literally 1,000. Like, it's like 1,004 pages long. So it's so huge.
Scary.
I've been putting it off for a long time, but once again, when I was reorganizing my shelves, I put it so close to the beginning of my most excited fantasy books to read section, and I have been on the wait list for the audiobook I've had it like on hold for a long time, and they keep trying to deliver it to me, and I keep saying I'm not ready yet. But then the other day I finished American Gods, and then it came in for me again, and I was like, you know what? This is a sign. It's time to start reading it. Because also, Brandon Sanderson, as I'm sure everyone remembers, is one of my authors that I need to read this year, because I own 4 of his books unread. And so I just decided, you know what? Now's the time to do it. I have been reading a lot of books, so I feel like I'm like, ahead on my reading goal or whatever of how many number of books I want to read. So I feel like I'm good to just take a really long time to read this book. And I just started it yesterday. I'm on page 66. I've been listening to the audiobook though. Like, I've been trying to listen to the audiobook, and then when I have time to sit down and read it, I'll like put it on super fast speed and read along as I'm listening. But the audiobook is super good. It's actually narrated by the same guy that did the Mistborn audiobooks, which I don't really talk about that much, but I listened to all of those books on audio, and they're so good. And I feel like listening to fantasy on audio should be something that doesn't work for me, because it's so easy to like lose track of things. It is complicated, but I find this guy so easy to listen to, and I feel like Brandon Sanderson's books are fairly not straightforward, but like they're easy enough to understand. And even where I'm at in this book, there's so much that I don't like understand yet in terms of the magic system in the world, but it's like, it's okay. I'm just like absorbing it as it comes along, and it's all good. I will say there's also a female narrator. I just got to another section of the book that's narrated by someone else, so I don't know how I feel about her yet, but we'll see. But as of right now, I'm really enjoying the book. It starts out with a really action-packed kind of like prologue that involves assassination and a king and magic, and the magic system seems really cool. So yeah, it's kind of like, I don't fully understand what's going on in this book yet, but I am really liking it. So
okay, I have a lot of questions.
Please.
Number 1, when was this book published?
The Way of Kings came out in 2010, I think.
Okay,
somewhere around there.
Question number 2, how long have you had it?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I've actually owned it before. And then, okay, so I think I got my first copy of this book in like 2014, 2015. And then
so you've been meaning to read it for a long time.
Yeah, I've been meaning to read it for like 7 or 8 years. I think, because I got a mass market copy of it for Christmas once, and I was like, I don't want that. So I did get rid of that one, and then I don't remember when I got this one, but it's been on my radar for quite a long time. So this is like a true mashed potato book.
True mashed potato.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, the other question was, is it part of a series that you're already in, or this is the first book of a new series?
Okay, this is a different series. So Mistborn is one of Brandon Sanderson's big series. There's 6, I think maybe even 7 now. I think he just published another one recently, but that's one series. This is the first book of a completely different series that there are now 4 books out. He's published 4 of them since 2010, which I don't understand because they're all just as big. But I haven't like read this at all. Like, I have no idea what these books are about, but they're all kind of in the same universe. That's something about Brandon Sanderson that is kind of interesting. Like, all of his books, it's called the Cosmere, and it's like literally the entire universe. So these things could be happening on different planets for all we know. They could be happening in completely different worlds, but it's all like they're in the same universe. So, which I think is kind of cool, because then it's like maybe some of the magic systems are a little similar to other ones. I don't know.
Yeah,
because they all like exist in the same kind of universe, you know. So, any more questions?
Any more questions you want answered? Does anyone else remember in Transformers when Bumblebee says that? No? Just me? Okay.
Yeah, I can't say that I do, my pal.
I think that's all. Oh, maybe you already said and I missed it, but I don't think you did. What page are you on? How long?
I'm on,
how deep are you?
66. I'm 5% of the way. Oh, yeah, the other thing. Guess how many hours the audiobook is?
Ooh, 50?
Close. It's 45. 45 and a half.
Wow.
And I'm just over 2 hours in.
Oh my God, that's daunting.
So the other scary thing is I don't think I'm going to be able to listen to it before I have to return it. So then I might have to wait to get it back.
Oh,
but
interesting.
I feel like people aren't really wanting to listen to it because it keeps coming back to me. So I feel like there's not really any holds on it right now, which is going to work in my favor. So I should be okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's heckin' long.
Well, man, I'm happy for you. A memoir and a fantasy, that's what you should be reading.
I know, that's the thing. When I was reorganizing my shelves, I was like, why do I have any other books? Like these are the things that make me super excited. I mean, there's obviously other books that make me excited too, like Unsound Heroines types of books. I have a whole section for that too, which is kind of fun. So when I want to read a book about just like a crazy lady, I've got a section for that. So
that's sick.
But yeah, I'm like, why do I have anything else? Classics? Who cares? I just want to read fantasy and memoirs. Just kidding. My classic section is also very exciting.
Speaking of your classic section,
I
bought some classics this weekend.
Oh, did you? Well, let's talk about that.
Does that segue make any sense?
No, that's perfect. I feel like I didn't know that was coming, so it was a perfect happy accident.
Okay, so basically, and I kind of wanted to check in with you about this as well because we sort of mentioned it on the podcast, so it might be fun to do a little check-in. But Raylene and I are doing a no spend month. So far, for me, it's been going really well. And I've been really proud of myself on multiple occasions. I literally, the other day, Raylene, tried on a pair of shoes.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
I shouldn't have even been doing because, like, that's so tempting, right? But I tried them on. I loved them. And I still didn't buy them.
That's crazy.
And I sent you a photo the other day of, like, I packed my lunch when I was going into Halifax another day. Because I was like, I am not going to spend money I don't need to spend. Yep. I will be taking my own little sandwich.
Mm-hmm. No, I was very proud of you for that. I was like, it was kind of funny because you were so happy about your little sandwich, and I was like, oh, I do that almost every day, but you don't, so it's kind of cute. You were like, look at my cute little sandwich. I'm like, it's just a sandwich.
Look, I like took like 4 photos of it. I was like, look, it's so cute. It's a little sandwich.
So excited. I was like, okay, that's nice.
It's because I obviously work from home, so I just cook in the kitchen and eat on a plate. Yeah, so it was just very exciting for me to take a Tupperware.
Absolutely.
But yes, anyways, so overall, I'm feeling very excited about the way that No Spend May is going. And it's just like, I really encourage people to do a no spend month. Set your own rules, set your own parameters, do what makes you comfortable. But the main thing for me, I guess there's 2 things. One, I gain like immense satisfaction knowing that I'm saving money for that month. Like, I'm like excited because I know that at the end of the month, I'm going to have a lot more money than I usually do in my bank account. I'm like, that's going to be so nice. So that's been very motivating. But the other main thing I think that honestly is the biggest reason to do it for me is it just like really puts you back in tune with spending money. Like every time I go to spend money, I'm like, wait, do I need to spend this money? Why am I spending this money? Do I need this right now? Is there another version of this that I could be doing? Like, do I need to be buying lunch, or could I have brought my own lunch?
Totally.
Like, it just makes you think a little bit more every interaction that you're doing. So overall, I'm feeling really good about it. However, technically I didn't spend any money because Connor bought all these for me, but I was like, I took us to the book sale.
You made this happen.
I did make this happen. And the only reason he bought these for me was because I bought him lunch earlier in the day. So I was like, I did spend money I didn't need to spend, if that makes sense.
It all comes back around.
However, I'm pretty excited about the stuff that I got. So a couple weeks ago, you went to a book sale.
Yeah.
And
good stuff.
Did we talk about that on the podcast or in a live show?
Oh, I hauled the books that I got, so.
Yeah, it was on the podcast. So I think I mentioned that I had found that there was a book sale happening in Halifax that weekend. And I was really excited to go, but then it like landed in the no spend month. So I was like, should I go? Maybe I shouldn't. But then we were out on a walk with my brother and Connor. And I was like, they're like, where should we go? And I was like, well, there is a book sale happening. And they're like, let's go. And I was like, woohoo. And then I told you that I went, and you said that you were glad I went.
Well, yeah, I encouraged it. I was like, no spend month isn't about making yourself sad. And like, this is an opportunistic thing. Like, if you have something that is going to happen once
a year
or once every 6 months, like, this is your opportunity to do it. Also, the books are so cheap. Like, it's better than going and buying a bunch of new books, you know? You have to just put it into perspective, totally. Like what you're spending your money on. It's like, oh, $2 on a book? That's better than 20. So.
I completely agree. So I got some books that I'm really, really excited about. So the first 3 that I'll show you are like classic book sale books that are sort of like, these are not books I would normally pick up, but when they're only, I think these were each $2. Yeah. These were each $2. I'm like, I will happily put these on my shelves. Yeah. So they are 3 art history books.
Okay.
And I tend to pick 1 or 2 of these up every time I go to a book sale because I just love them so much. So I got 1 on Turner, 1 on Cézanne, and 1 about the Impressionists overall.
All right.
And they're just like little primer books that have, you know, a bunch of paintings, and it tells you about the history of them. And I just love books like this. I love books like this. I took a course on art history in my undergrad, and it was one of my favorite courses ever. Like, I just found it so satisfying.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, yes, I will take these. I love them. So they'll be going on the shelf.
All right.
But then I also got a couple of books. First of all, I got this copy of A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. And it's funny because it's such a bad cover that it kind of turns around and becomes a good cover.
I know what you mean. It's a movie cover.
Yeah, it's a movie tie-in cover, but of the Helena Bonham Carter movie.
Yeah.
It was also $2, and I think, it says, E.M. Forster's classic tale of British middle-class love is now a major motion picture starring Maggie Smith, Denholm Elliott, Helena Bonham Carter, and Julian Sands. I don't even know who some of those people are. What's fun is that I actually have been wanting to read this. This was one of the classics I was thinking about reading this year, and it turns out I don't own it. I do own Howard's End.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I thought you had one book by E.M. Forster.
Howard's End by E.M. Forster, who I think I bought this at a sale, at a different book sale. It looks
like something you would buy at a book sale. It's just like a weird old copy.
Yeah, it literally says $3 in here, and it says Rockridge Middle School.
Amazing.
That's awesome. It's got notes in here and everything. This brings me to another point.
Oh.
Something I needed to discuss. Something I needed to bring to you, Raylene.
Something to get off your chest?
Something to get off my chest.
Sounds serious.
Something to bring to the table. Okay. So I was talking to CJ, my brother, but the editor of the podcast. And we were having a diner breakfast.
Okay.
And he looks me dead in the eye and he said, "Squirrel books makes no sense." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "They're clearly acorn books. You guys are the squirrels and the chipmunks hiding the books away.
That's
the
true.
Books are the little acorns that you're hiding away." And my jaw basically dropped. I was like, "You're right."
We didn't think it through all the way. It just made sense in like an offhand kind of way when you came up with that one.
But I think that I move to the committee that we pivot to the better term, because I have noticed that we hop back from squirrel to chipmunk.
That's true.
Books.
Yeah.
Because we're doing that act, but the book itself is an acorn book. It's a little gem. It's a little acorn we want to save away.
Okay.
Do we approve the motion?
Motion approved. Forwarded, woo-hoo! Passed, whatever you say. It's going.
The ayes have it. All right. Wow,
That's
CJ,
fantastic.
you just enacted big change around here.
Acorn books. It's so cute.
Next up, I got this book I'm excited about.
It's another acorn?
I'm excited about it, but it just, like, also sounds kind of sad. I just loved... It was $1, okay? When things are only $1, you suddenly... Your brain breaks a little bit. But yeah, so it's called You Can't Go Home Again by Thomas Wolfe.
Whoa.
Never heard of this.
Blue sprayed edges?
Yes.
Love it. Oh, that's good.
Amazing.
I love old books like that are like, why is it blue? I don't know why it's blue, but I like it.
So satisfying. So I fell in love with the title of this book. You Can't Go Home Again.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. Set in the cataclysmic years between 1929 and 1933, this intense narrative portrays a writer's search for enduring meaning in his life. George Weber learns that love is not enough, fame is not enough, and with America deep in the Depression years, he longs to revisit the Germany he remembers with pleasure. There, he is sickened by the incipient horror of Nazism, and once again, he returns to his own country. It sounds dramatic.
It sounds very dramatic.
Epic. And when I looked it up on Goodreads, it had over a 4-star rating, which is rare. And it had like over 5,000 ratings. So I was like, you know what? You can't go home again, but you're going home with me. Huh?
Nailed it.
All right. And the final book I want to mention, this was one of these books where I was just like, yeah, I will be getting that. Yeah. Yes, this one was $2. It is Like Water for Chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
By Laura, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Squirrel is what it says here. Cool. Have you read this?
No, that one I've just seen around since I was a kid, though. Like, for some reason, I recognize that cover. Like, I've seen it so many times, but I actually don't really know anything about it. Is it about cooking?
Yeah. Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
So, basically, it is in perfect condition. This copy looks like it was never read. Like, it just sat on someone's shelf for a long time and then got donated. Sad. Which excited me. But it was funny because the other day I was looking up Latino books. I was like, why do I not stumble upon them?
Yeah.
Never. Like, there's 2 authors, Gabriel Garcia Marquez and Isabel Allende. That's it. Those are the 2. And maybe Clarice Lispector, but it's like Portuguese, so it's a little bit different. But I was just like, I never see them. I don't like feel like I know what's going on over there. And so I just was doing a little scan one night on my phone or whatever. And so many lists were mentioning Like Water for Chocolate. And I was like, gosh, I feel like I've seen that book around, but I don't really know anything about it. And so the book tells me that it's from 1990 and it's Mexican.
Cool.
It says that it's like How to Make an American Quilt, which is a movie I love.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Whoa. You know I love that movie. Yeah. So that excited me. And it says, the narrator's great-aunt, Tita, is the youngest of 3 daughters born to Mama Elena. So there was, you'll hear through here, you'll be like, I think that this was inspiration for Encanto.
Oh.
The tyrannical owner of the De La Garza Ranch. While still in her mother's womb, she wept so violently as her mother chopped onions that she caused Mama Elena to begin early labor, and Tita slipped out in the middle of the kitchen table amid the spices and fixings for noodle soup. This early encounter with food soon became a way of life, and Tita grew up to be a master chef.
Whoa. I love it.
Isn't that interesting? So there's some serious magical realism going on there, but there's also this huge cooking element going on, and there's recipes in here too. Like every chapter starts with a recipe or something. I don't know anything about it, but I think it sounds really good. It's also very short and it looks very approachable. So
I love it's a little hardcover too. I don't think I've ever seen it in that edition.
I know, it's so cute. I felt really happy about that. Hold on, I lied. There was one more book. I forgot about him.
There's always one more.
There's always one more. This one was $2. Garden in the Wind by Gabrielle Roy. I just really obsessed with the cover.
That edition just reminds me of reading books in school. I don't know why it looks like a school book to me.
I know.
It looks like it would be in French.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it does. Well, actually, funny you say that because it's a Quebecois author.
There you go.
I know. So I looked it up. It says the author Gabrielle Roy. Oh, sorry. was born in St. Boniface, Manitoba in 1909, but her parents were part of the large Quebec emigration to Western Canada, and she eventually settled down in Montreal. So cool. She died in Quebec City in 1993. But anyways, these are 4 stories.
Ooh, cool.
4 slightly longer short stories. And it says that they're all very Canadian, set in Western Canada. It says, let's see, here, full abundance. So she recounts the stories of a tramp who belongs to no one, a Chinese immigrant struggling to fulfill his dreams, somebody's whose name I can't pronounce, settlers, fired by a vision of a new land, and a lonely woman who nurtures her small but splendid garden. So,
ooh, that garden one sounds cute.
And when I looked it up, I was reading the reviews, and people were like, that garden story, I'm never going to forget that. Whoa. That was like one of the most beautiful things I've ever read in my entire life. Unexpectedly beautiful. I was like, for $2?
Even just for that one story.
So yeah, I had a really fun time. I also just had like a really fun day with CJ and Connor, and they also got some books there. That was really fun.
Book sale days are just the best.
Yeah. I probably bought $15 worth of books.
See, that's great. That's less than one normal book, and you got so many interesting things.
Yes.
That's why I think that's allowed. I think that's fine.
I feel pretty good about it. Do you have any new books this week?
I kind of do, but I forgot to bring them to the table. So I'll just talk about them next week.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. I'll explain myself later.
That's no problem.
I already put them away because I organized my shelves and then I forgot about them on the shelf. But I did get a couple.
She was just a little overexcited.
Mine are all innocent because I, as you all know, I have like an ongoing list at my local bookstore. I'm just waiting for them to find me used books, and they found me a couple. So I had to buy them. Otherwise, they would have given them to someone else.
She had to.
That's okay. This no spend month has been kind of a disaster for me because I got a kitten as well. So I've been doing my best, but I've had to buy so much shit.
That's so true. I totally forgot it. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Also had to buy a hose today because we needed to water the garden. So, but those are necessary things. Like those are the rules we've set. Buy things that are necessary.
Necessities were totally allowed.
Yeah.
And who's to say that third kitten toy wasn't a necessity?
Exactly. You should see this kid. She's crazy. She needs toys.
How is she doing? I'm sure people would appreciate it.
Yeah, actually, I meant to give a cat update at the beginning, but then totally forgot. So, yeah, we've had her now for just over a week, and things are going great. So, for the first, I want to say like 5 days that we had her, Simon was not a fan. He would just stay away from her if she tried to get near her. Like we were doing our own thing to try and introduce them. So it's not like they were running wild or anything. But if she ever like came into his sight, he would just get mad. He would hiss. He would be like, get that thing away from me. But then suddenly on like day 6 or whatever it was, they connected. They became buddies. They were running around the house, chasing each other, apparently, like having fun. And then on the next day, they were like snacking out of the same bowl of food. Like they were getting really close, and they still haven't cuddled, which is like my main goal. I really want them to like nap together and like, but they napped on the same bed separately from each other. So we're getting there. Okay. We're getting there. So yeah, they're definitely okay with each other now. Willow now likes to like attack Simon's butt. Like she'll just run behind him and like leap on him, and he'll just kind of be like, ugh, child, get away from me. But sometimes they'll play. Like I think they like kind of wrestled yesterday, but I didn't see it. So
oh my God.
It's a real tragedy. But yeah, it's coming along. She's good. She still has so much energy. She's the craziest little girl. You joked before we got her that I should name her Loca, and I actually have been calling her that because she's so crazy. I'm like, hey, Loca, come here. Hey, what you doing, Loca?
That's so cute.
So yeah, she has a lot of nicknames because she's just always zooming around, always jumping, doing flips. Like she's always doing somersaults. I don't understand why she does that, but that's awesome. She's a special girl, and I love her.
I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that happy news, let's transition to a little more in a segment I like to call Book News. All right. Hold My Beer, because Gender Queer by Maya Kobabe is the most banned book this year in the United States.
Oh, lots of good rhymes there.
Thank you.
Whoa. Okay.
Book banning is up 28.5%, according to PEN America, the non-profit free speech organization down in the States, from last semester to this semester. Up, so almost 30%.
Wow.
It's crazy. And that was up on the semester before that was up from the semester before that.
Yeah.
Like the last few years have just seen this huge rise in US censorship of books. And I think we've all been seeing it online, but when I actually started looking into the facts, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot going on down there. Among those authors banned in that were in like kind of the top list and stuff, Rupi Kaur is getting banned a lot.
What?
Which is crazy. And, you know, we all know that the reason stated is often not the actual reason that things are being banned, but they can only go by what's officially been said. So what's officially being said is that Rupi Kaur was being banned, was being banned because people are complaining of like sexual content because some of her poems have like a sexual theme or a topic or whatever, but disturbing. And then the other Canadian author that I just noticed really quickly was Margaret Atwood. She's been banned for a really long time because of The Handmaid's Tale and stuff. That one also is like because of sexual stuff, but it's like, damn, wow. So I thought it was interesting to see that the top book that was banned is Genderqueer, which is, it's a graphic novel. I haven't read it. I've heard amazing things about it, but this makes me want to read it more.
Yeah, we should buy it. Shout it from the rooftops.
It's a graphic novel, and I'm pretty sure it's a memoir. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a nonfiction memoir about the experience of this author being non-binary. So that I should have pulled the stat, but it was like a huge percentage of the stuff that's being banned in the US is all like LGBTQ plus.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't surprise me either. So this is very interesting and something that I want to keep kind of tracking, just like not on the podcast, but just personally, because often a lot of the stuff that happens in the US will then spread to other parts of the world. And I was actually looking in, I was like, is Canada having this happen here as well? And so far, no, not really. Like it was like in February, somebody tried to do something in BC. And then there was like another one in May or something. Some other group tried to lobby some book getting banned from the library. So it's still being really sporadic and small. It's not like very systemic right now, but that's how it starts. So anyway, everyone, read banned books. Okay, my next article. Unlucky number 13. Maybe this love story won't end in a breakup.
I have no idea where this is going.
I was trying to make it Taylor Swift oriented, and I don't think that worked.
No, I don't get Taylor Swift references. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, a book that is simply titled on Amazon 4C, like the number 4 and the letter C, 4C, Untitled Flat Iron Nonfiction Summer 2023. So it's like a placeholder, not real name, right? It's on Amazon. The only details for this book are that it's supposed to be released July 9th. And that it has 544 pages.
Whoa. That's pretty long.
So those are the 3 stats. 544 pages, July 9th, and then that absurd title, Untitled Flat Iron Nonfiction Summer 2023.
Hilarious. Okay.
This is already the best-selling book on Amazon because the Swifties have a conspiracy theory that this is a book by Taylor Swift.
What? Okay.
Here are the reasons why.
Okay. This is very interesting. I don't know what's going on, but it's funny.
Taylor Swift tweeted, "It fills me with such pride and joy to announce that my version of Speak Now will be out July 7th, just in time for July 9th. If you know, you know."
Oh.
But nobody knows.
No, why would anyone know?
What the hell she's talking about. And then people saw that this book is supposed to come out on July 9th.
How did anyone even find this book?
Okay, next. So that's the July 9th clue. Okay. The 544 pages clue. 5 plus 4 plus 4 equals 13. Taylor Swift's favorite number. So the people think that's a clue somehow.
My favorite number is also 13. Maybe I wrote the book.
It's Raylene's secret memoir. Books Unbound exposed.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I couldn't tell if this was at the end of the same tweet. I forgot to look up if it's at the end of the same tweet or a different tweet or something. But she said, kind of randomly, "Thanks to you, dear reader, it finally will be." And so people are like, why did she call us readers? She must have a book coming out. But it's like, she could have just meant that you're reading a tweet.
Yeah. I really think people are overthinking this, but it would be cool if she secretly wrote a book. That would be kind of neat. But what would it be? Like, are there any other further clues about this book? Like,
well, the title of the book is Untitled Flatiron Nonfiction Summer.
Nonfiction,
so people are thinking it's a big memoir where she's going to like expose secrets and say everything she's ever thought in her life.
That would be pretty cool. I don't care about Taylor Swift, but I would be happy for her to release a tell-all memoir. I'd probably read it.
Well, you might be able to on July 9th.
I'd be curious why it's so many pages long, if that actually is the true page count. Can you imagine?
Seriously, no, I can't imagine. So there you have it. That's my book news for this week. I had fun with my
That's hilarious.
titles. So the final thing we need to do, Raylene, before we log off is check in on No by May. That's not right.
Mashed potato May. I actually already loaded it up. Wait, it went away.
Mashed potato May. Yes. So I'm looking it up now on my phone, which is...
Well, I will start it off because I have it open here. So there's one post here from Books Dear Reader who says they are currently reading My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, which that's pretty darn exciting. That's a book that you and I have both been meaning to read for a while now. I feel like that's
a buddy read mashed potato book.
It is. I feel like there should be a special name for that. A food you can share with a friend. What would be a buddy?
Nachos!
A nacho book.
You really can't let nachos go cold because then the cheese gets hard.
It's true. So that's pretty exciting. That was just posted 8 hours ago. So this person is in the thick of My Brilliant Friend as we speak.
Honey Drenched Books has a post that has A Crooked Tree by Una Mannion on it, which is a book you hauled recently on the podcast. I saw that
post the other day, actually, because I think I got tagged in it. That was really cool.
It's so stunning. That book cover is stunning. And Honey Drenched Books writes, I've never heard of A Crooked Tree before, but I heard Raylene talk about it on Books Unbound recently. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
so I guess that doesn't count as their mashed potato book if they just got it.
I suppose not, yeah.
They give an update. They say, I'm still getting through breasts and eggs for mashed potato May, and I'm 150 pages from finishing. I'm still really enjoying it, but it's slower because I've just read a lot of big books this year and my stamina isn't holding up. Okay.
All right, here's another post. I was looking at this one earlier. This is Thank Book It's Tuesday. They've posted a little stack, but I really like their caption, so I'll just read that off quickly because I can really relate to this. They say, there are many books I keep waiting for the perfect time to read. A lot of these books are seasonal to me, so keep getting left behind as seasons keep turning. So this is my stack. One of the books in the stack is Sharks in the Time of Saviors by Kawai Strong Washburn, which isn't quite a mashed potato book for me yet, but I could see it becoming that because it just... There's something special about it. I'm like, I feel like that's going to be a really cool book. But I really relate to the seasonal aspect because I feel like there are certain books that you really are like, okay, I'm going to read this, but it has to be in this month or it has to be in the summertime. And then as soon as it's passed, you're screwed for a whole other year. You're like, well, I can't read this until next year now. And so
that's how I was with Anne.
Yeah. So it makes mashed potato books like even more difficult to read because you have a limited time frame when you can kind of read them. And I can totally relate to that because I do that all the time, man.
I totally agree.
Like, I feel like fantasy books, for me, summertime is like the golden time to read fantasy for some reason. In my head, I often think it's winter, but it's not. It's summer. For me, it's always summer. I need to read ginormous books in the summertime. So I feel like I'm glad that I'm getting a jump on Brandon Sanderson right now.
Hushel Let's Read. Their actual name is Hush Let's Read. But our pal Hush comes to not all of, but like lots of our live shows on Patreon, and my brain always reads it Hushel. Hushel is reading Anne of Avonlea.
Ooh.
I'm reading this one for Mashed Potato May because I've been wanting to continue the series for a long time now. That makes me want to. I wish I'd. You know when you regret all your life choices? I wish that my whole TBR for Mashed Potato May was just more Anne.
It really could have been.
It could have been.
Still can be. You can do whatever you want. I've completely abandoned my TBR for the time being, so.
That's so funny because at our last live show with our patrons, I was really excited about this book, Writers and Lovers.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if I just ditch my whole TBR and I just read this instead? And you said, no, you should stick to your TBR. And I was like, oh, I'll let everyone vote. And everyone that was there voted and they're like, stick to your TBR. And I was like, oh.
But then you were sad and we changed our minds. If it's making you sad, you shouldn't do it. And to be fair, I feel good about my TBR because I read one of them. And remember when I finished Goon Squad, I was like, if this is the only one I read, at least I've done one. Because I'm bad at sticking to TBRs. Yes. Yeah, like I'm bad at sticking to TBRs, and I think you are too. Like it's a mood reader thing. It's impossible to stick to TBRs. So I feel like if you feel like you need to break free from it, then you gotta do it.
Yeah. You gotta do it. Well, we'll see what happens next week. The final post I'll share is Savannah's Shelf. A really pretty picture with a carpet that I love. It's like a black-white checkered carpet, but it's they wrote, "This month is Mashed Potato May for my favorite bookish podcast, Books Unbound, and I'm loving it. It's all about picking up those books you own and have been meaning to get to. I have a whole TBR of backlist books I've been meaning to pick up and this was at the very top. And it is March, book 1 by John Lewis, the graphic novel.
Book. Yeah.
And they gave it 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah. That whole series is stellar. Well, I've got one more post that I wanted to shout out as well.
Sick. Yeah.
This one is from Brookstagram, which is an amazing name on Instagram.
Good.
Very good, Brooke. And they have a whole TBR, it looks like, but I'll just name a couple. So one of the books is The Prior of the Orange Tree, and they say, my first ever attempt at reading high fantasy, and this just came into the library, which is really exciting. But the next book on their TBR is God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. And get this. It says, I actually added this to my TBR in high school because of an Ariel Bissett video.
No way.
There you go. Then Loveless by Alice Oseman. The House on Mango Street, which is another book that I want to read too. So that's an amazing TBR. So
that was another one of my Latino ones where I was like, oh, I actually own that one.
That's one that I've been kind of hunting for low key now. If I ever see it, I'll buy it, but I haven't come across it yet.
I remember buying this one in, I think I bought it at the Strand.
Cool.
Yes, I bought it at the Strand.
Very nice.
I wonder if I have oh no, I don't think I have the receipt in here to tell me. This is probably a mashed potato. Well, if it was at the Strand, I remember it was.
I was going to say, did you buy another book? Did you buy another book with it? Maybe the receipt's in that book.
Yeah, you're right.
That's always my thing. I always forget which book holds the receipt.
I know. I'm trying to remember that trip. Like,
I'm going to guess
might have been before the pandemic.
2016.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
I think it was ages ago.
If you really can't remember buying it, it must have been quite a while
ago. All right. Well, we did it. Yep. We did another beautiful episode. And I feel calmer than I did when I started this thing. So thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us. We're now going to go and record our Patreon mini podcast, Movie Tub, where we talk about shows and movies that we've seen. So if you want to check that out and support the podcast, that is the way. It's on patreon.com/booksunbound. And in the meantime, we'll talk to you guys next week.